Hello, everyone. This is my very first YouTube live, so. So, I'm pulling it up. Trying to mute it. Okay. Sweet. All right, yeah, so I want to be able to see your guys' comments. I think I can see them come in over here. But anyway, whoever's in here, like if you're in here, can you drop a comment? Let me know you can hear me. Yay, Ellie's here, my bestie. So excited for this. Me too. This is going to be fun. So right now, I'm just preparing my tea, my little evening tea. Oh, I guess I have to get rid of this. It just stays until you get rid of it. Anyway, I've got my little honey stick here. So get comfy, get cozy. Ugh. My camera is kind of doing some weird zoom things, zooming in and out. But we have another minute or so until we're going to get going. So I thought I'd give you guys a chance to just, get your tea, do what you got to do. Oh, I also got a candle I wanted to light. 1 second. Got my candle. So let me light this. Because the thing is about when you're planning your month, when you're planning anything, you want to romanticize it. You want to make it exciting and lovely and just a whole ritual. You want it to be, I don't know why this thing keeps going out of focus. We're going to have to figure that out. But anyway, you really want it to be something that you look forward to, something that feels really fun to do, even though maybe some of the things that you're planning for are not that exciting. Maybe you've been really stressed lately or overwhelmed. Maybe you're I have no idea what to even plan for. I have completely ignored all of my goals already. They've already gone by the wayside. Let's just take a minute, grab some water, grab some tea, grab something that you can sip on while we go through this process. Light a candle, some incense, put on what are those called? Diffusers. Just take a step back and let's enjoy this process together. All right. So first things first, thank you for being here. This is my first live on YouTube. I'm so excited and I'm still figuring it out. So bear with me a little bit. I'm trying to see, I don't know. Okay, wait. Let me pull over the comments because I can't see them at the same time that I have Notion pulled up. Okay, sweet. I think we're all situated here. So I can see your comments over here. I can see me and what we're going to be working on over here. I'll share my screen in just a minute. Before I do that, I do want to drop in the chat the template that I'm working on. Just in case, if any of you guys want to actually work alongside me, or if you're I want this template too, this is going to be the link to grab a copy of that template. Let me see. Okay, I think I dropped it in the chat. Fantastic. So, as I was saying, thank you guys so much for being here. This is my very first YouTube live. I'm not going to repeat that again, but bear with me in case there's any tech difficulties. I'm going to ask for some feedback throughout the process, so feel free to share. That's going to make this really interactive. That was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this is I want to connect with my community. There are 255 of you right now, and I love every single last one of you for being a subscriber and for following my journey and for being a part of this community. It means everything to me. So I'm really excited if you're watching this live or the replay. Thank you so much for being here along this journey. I think I lost my train of thought of what I was saying about. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, thank you. So the interesting part about January and February's monthly planning is that we're still kind of getting used to our routines. We've just set new goals for the year, probably, possibly, maybe. And so this month in particular, going into February, I'm not going to be so concerned about making big changes or big shifts or like getting rid of things right now. I want to give myself a little bit more time to work on my habits, work on my goals. So, a lot of what you'll see through this process today isn't necessarily going to be an elimination or a filtering out through my goals. Some of my milestones right now, some of the things that I've been working on, I'm already behind on. So if that's you too, like, Tony, I set goals, I set milestones, and like I'm already so behind on them, join the club. It's okay. The reason we do this on a monthly, on a weekly, on a quarterly basis is because when we're constantly coming back to these things, we can pivot, we can make adjustments, and we can stay committed through the process. I need to take a breath because I'm talking so fast. Give me a second. Let me breathe. Actually, take a breath with me. Please, will you? Okay, let's do this together. All right. Inhale through the nose. Hold it for just a moment. Exhale through the mouth. Let it out with a sigh. Okay, that feels better already. Let me take a drink of my tea. If you have tea or something hot that you're drinking also, just take a little sip. Oh no, mine's kind of dripping. I have this African solstice tea. It's from Tea Fort, which is like next level tea company. Really love them. Actually, my aunt threw me a surprise bridal shower after I surprised everybody with the fact that I got married. And my aunt and my cousin, they like threw me this tea party for my bridal party, and they had they had a bunch of these different teas from Tea Fort, and it was just so beautiful and incredible, and the tea is so yummy. So slight plug for Tea Fort, not sponsored, but anyway, I remembered what I was saying. So the reason I wanted to start doing these lives was because I really do want to connect with my community. I know I'm like jumping back 3 minutes ago, like what I was saying, but I want to come back to this because I think it's important that all of us realize that like we're all on this same journey. We all get off track. We all have things in our life that stress us out. We're all, going through our own stuff all the time. And this is a moment that we can come together and be like, okay, life is crazy. Life is lifing right now. And what are we going to do about it? How are we going to respond to it this month? How do we want to structure our month based on what's going on in life, based on how we're feeling? And just being here in community, being able to connect with each other and bounce ideas off of each other, be able to say, like, this is what I'm going through. Like, how would you do this? I'm happy to provide feedback. So, like, as we go through this process, like, feel free to ask questions or be like, hey, everybody, like, what should I do about this? How have you guys done this in the past? Or has anybody experienced this before? You know, let's just make this collaborative and as fun as possible for everybody in the community. So, okay, I think we're ready to get started now. Also, I really wish that we could have music, but I'm too scared because I don't want to get like the copyright thing, or I don't know. I don't want to get shut down. So, here we go. First thing that we're going to do with our monthly planning is we're going to reflect. So I'm going to lead us through a little reflection process here in just a second. And then we are going to go into reviewing our goals. And then we're going to go into the actual monthly planning. And then we're going to plan week 1 of February. I like to leave I like to leave a lot of flexibility in my plans. I like to plan 1 week at a time with the intention of the month in mind, if that makes sense. I don't necessarily like to pencil in every single thing on my calendar or on my to-do list of I'm going to do this on this day of the month, because if I plan out too far ahead, you just never know what can happen. Like, life happens so fast, things change so quickly that I don't want to lock myself into something. I was talking to a friend today who's actually on this live, Illy, hey, about how, like, I just don't want to box myself in. And I feel like planning too far ahead feels like boxing myself into something or committing to something that I'm like, I just don't have enough information to know if this is the right thing for me to do, or if that's going to be the right day for me to do this thing on, whatever, if that makes sense. So we are not going to approach this in a way that is like every single day of February is going to be planned. Now, if you like to do that and that's supportive for you, please, like, disregard my philosophy about how I plan this and go through what does serve you through this process, and then plan out the rest of your month if that's what you want to do. I totally support that, and I think that's amazing. It doesn't work for me, but that doesn't mean that it can't work for you or that it shouldn't work for you. Like, we are all different in the way that we feel most supportive and the way that we feel least overwhelmed with our schedules and with our months. So please do what feels best for you. If you want to try something new, like, try something new. Let this be an experiment. Get to know yourself this year in a new way with your relationship to planning and to executing and having discipline, and what that looks like to do that sustainably, because that is like my biggest message for everyone is you can get things done. The reason you haven't in the past is because you haven't done it in a sustainable way. It's felt too jolting to your nervous system, to your current habits. It just doesn't feel natural. And so, if we can take things slow, which is part of the reason why I do 1 month at a time or 1 week at a time, it doesn't feel so nerve-wracking and so jolting. So, anyway, I'm going to stop preaching now. And we are going to get into some reflection. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully this works. There we go. Okay. I think you guys can see it. I'm going to make this bigger. Yay! All right. One more drink of my tea. So, if you have your template pulled up, if you happen to have the Life Dash template, what you'll want to do, let me get to our little homepage here. If you have the Life Dash template, this is what your homepage looks like. So you are going to click on the Let's Make Magic Happen button. And then in order to go down into your monthly planning, you'll go to the quarter or season, as I like to call it, that we are in. So right now we're in quarter one, season one. So if you click on that, then you're going to see January, February, March. For the reflection piece, you can go into January, and then the rest of this you can go into February. So just an FYI, you'll see me bounce back and forth between my January and February. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my January. And there's a section that says, let's recap. So in this section, oh, thanks. Ellie said she loves my cover picture. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Wait, why would I do that? It like closes that. That's kind of sad. Let me bring this over here, because I think that's why that's doing that. Okay. Can I bring this back up? These are the fun tech difficulties. Okay. That we're learning. We're learning, right? Okay. So the first thing that we are going to recap on is, what did you enjoy most this month? So I have 5 different spots here on the template for you to add your thoughts about what you enjoyed most. If you're working on just a regular piece of paper or something else, just taking notes elsewhere, go ahead and list at least 5 things that you enjoyed this month. The one thing that I love about this template and using Notion in general is how much information I have stored. So if you're like me, you forget things very, very easily. And I don't know what I did the first week of January anymore. I just don't remember. So what I can do is I can actually open up these weeks and I can look back at the things that I did. And then that makes it a lot easier for me to reflect on what I enjoyed most this month. Something that I think I struggle with is just having so many thoughts in my head at once. Like in the now, like I'm so focused on like the now and the future that when I think about a conversation I had, or when I think about what I did yesterday or what I ate this morning, it just is like that thought is so gone. Like I don't even remember. So having this like history of this information is so helpful for me, which is one of the reasons I've really taken to this template. It makes it easier to reflect. It makes it really fun to be able to like celebrate yourself and kind of see at a glance everything that you accomplished. I really enjoy that. So we're going to take a couple minutes and just reflect on what you enjoyed this month. And then if you've already started that, because I've been talking for a long time already, you can go into, what did you learn this month? So I will give us a couple minutes. And if you have music, put it on. I wish I could put on music for the live, but I'm just too afraid. So let's do this. What did you enjoy most this month? week. Apparently, I was not with it. Oh, yes. Definitely enjoyed getting my nails done this month. Listen, since I moved back to Indy, I have not. I got my nails done one time. It was when I did my keynote back in August. But like, if you know me, you know my nails are pretty much always done. I religiously go to the nail shop and have my nails done. But I had the most amazing nail tech in the entire world. She was such a gem. Just love her inside and out. So moving here, it's obviously like you gotta find, your person again. And then it's like, I don't know. Uh, I make a lot of, I think, sacrifices in the short term in order to start my business and to save what I can, because I'm still so new in my business and it's still so fresh. So I've been trying to have my nails done in a more cost-effective way. So I did not realize that thing was in my face. So I have tried to do just press-ons, which has worked really well for me. Actually, for months now, I have been doing press-ons from the box from Target or CVS. And that has worked wonders. But I actually got my nails done this month. And it was glorious, you guys. I was very excited about that. Anyway, that's a sidebar. Thanks for listening. All right. If you haven't already, go ahead and move on to what did you learn this month? Let's just do 4 or 5 things that you learned this month. Okay. Okay. When you're ready, you can move on to what could I have done better this month? And then the last one to reflect on is what do I wish existed or was possible to make this month run smoother? So if you are way faster at all of this than me, feel free to keep it pushing. Feel free to like share in the comments too, what is like the biggest lesson that you learned this month, or what did you enjoy most this month? For me, one of the biggest lessons that I learned was that it's really so much more important to be as consistent as you can be than to be like absolutely perfect and never miss a beat and totally burn yourself out. I know a lot of you probably know I did 75 hard a little over a year ago, I think. And I started doing it again, but I've really just done a looser version of 75 hard. It's not really the 75 soft, but it's like a flexible version, a sustainable version of 75 hard. And I know that kind of like defeats the purpose of the hard part. But I'm like, what does it look like to say that I'm committing to something, and instead of forcing myself on the days that I need rest or I need something different, what does it look like to allow myself to have that? Because this time, the last time that I did 75 hard, it was so much more for me about proving to myself that I could be disciplined. I had convinced myself that I did not have any discipline. I couldn't be consistent. I just wasn't that person. So for me, doing 75 hard last time was about proving to myself that I could become a consistent and disciplined person, which I did that. This time, I think the intention is more about, you have this goal in your mind, you have this difficult thing that you want to do in your mind. And what does it look like to be able to do that in a way that doesn't break you and burn you out and make you feel completely exhausted, but it also has a structure that keeps you moving forward, that you can easily slide yourself back into? Because I know the structure of 75 hard. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do every day. So even if I only get one 45-minute workout in instead of two, I am still able to the next day get into, or I'm easily able to like get back on track with what my goal is for 75 hard, or for the structure of 75 hard. But it's also like this mental reprogramming of, you know what, we can set out to do these crazy things, these amazing things, these incredible things that feel difficult and hard and far away, or maybe even impossible. And just because you don't like stay perfectly on the path that you set out, or do exactly what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it, like if things deviate a little bit, what does it look like to be okay with that? What does it look like to adjust and to be at peace with that adjustment? And that's really what I'm discovering through this process, is how to be at peace with the ebbs and flows of my energy levels, of life itself. So that's really what it's about this time. And so one of the biggest lessons that I learned this month was that it's so much more important to be consistent than perfect. Okay. Hopefully you guys are done going through this process. I am going to move on to the next section because I have done a lot of talking, and I'm guessing you guys are probably done with your journaling as I was doing my talking. So I will do my journaling later. I'll finish my reflection later. So the next part of this process is reviewing our goals. I have a quick link to my goals in Notion from my page. If you are in the Life Dash template, if you go back to your Let's Make Magic Happen page, which you can do from like this little breadcrumb trail here, you can click Let's Make Magic Happen, and then it takes you right back to that page. On that page, you'll see a section for my goals and milestones. If you already have this filled out, great. If you want to take a minute to add in your goals and add in your milestones, you can do that. But if you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do all of that later, then feel free to bring up whatever document you have or information you have on your goals that you have. Maybe that's just a vision board, and that's totally fine. But let's pull that up. Go to my January. And we are going to go through each goal and just ask ourselves, is this still relevant? Am I still interested in this being one of my goals? Am I on track? Do I need to make any adjustments? Excuse me. Hold on, let me take a drink. One of the things that I would normally do during a planning process like this is if something doesn't feel aligned anymore, I'm just going to delete it or remove it. Because if you don't want to accomplish a certain goal anymore, if that's not important to you, there's no need for it to be crowding your brain space and just like glaring at you in the face. Like, why aren't you working on me? Why aren't you paying attention to me? Like, we don't need any of that energy. So if you don't want something anymore, if you don't want to accomplish something anymore that you have listed for one of your goals, just get rid of it. Like, just pretend it didn't exist, because again, we just don't need that energy lingering around. But what I will say is it's still January, and I don't want you to give up on something that you really want just because it hasn't come to fruition yet, or you haven't seen the momentum or the result or the progress on it that you really wanted to see. So if it's still something you want, make sure that you're keeping it here. And then as we go through the planning process, just make sure that you're planning for that accordingly. Okay. So my goals that I have for myself this year currently so far is to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which thanks to all of you so far for making me, get closer and closer. Every single day we're growing. So I can open this up and I can actually see what my milestones are for this particular goal. I can review all of this, all of my dates. So my goal for January was to get to 250. I got to 255 as of today. So I completed that already. That one's done. And now I have put my 300 in process. So that will be my goal for February, is to get to 300 subscribers. Now, the way that I broke this down was considering my history with like how many subscribers I was getting a month already and how many I thought that I could reasonably get within a month, especially as I continue to grow. Like, you can see that from December to January and January to February, I'm only growing 50. But once I hit like April, over the course of a month and a half, I want to gain 100. So I'm getting a little bit more aggressive. And then within the course of another month and a half, I want to grow another 100. And then I'm getting really aggressive and growing 100 in a month. So the way this worked out for me last time, I got that exponential growth. Like every single month, it just kind of snowballed and I grew more and more. So I used that information from last year to kind of predict how I could get to 1,000 subscribers this year. If you have something like this, like maybe you are um, having some like wellness goals, or if you have something that you've tracked in the past or something that you've done in the past that you can really plan around that. Maybe it's not something like numbers, but if it's like, you know, let's say going to the gym. This is just an easy example for me. If you know that in the past you have tried to go to the gym 5 days a week and that just always feels like it completely burns you out, then don't plan your milestones around going to the gym 5 days a week. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Set yourself up for success. I'm not going to put 500 subscribers by February because that feels like too big of a stretch for me, and I may not know, or I may not feel as confident in in me being able to do that. So I want to be realistic with my milestones. I want to break them down into things that I can actually feel like I'm achieving, but also kind of stretch myself. So not that we're necessarily going into the milestone breakdown process here today, but as you're looking at your milestones, if you've done that process with me before, if you haven't, I've got a lot of other videos on that, so make sure you check those out after this live. But breaking these things down into reasonable milestones that feel like small action steps that you can actually take is going to help you a lot. So we're just going to review each of these goals and review your milestones, or if you don't have milestones already, make sure that you are starting to create those for yourself. You don't necessarily have to do all of the milestones at once. Like if you aren't ready to break down the entire year of milestones, if it's going to take you a year to get to your goal, and we never know what the time frames are going to be, of course. Like I could end up hitting the 1,000 subscribers way before that. It could end up taking me longer. It doesn't really matter, but having dates in mind will help us know whether we need to pivot, whether we're on track, whether we need to adjust things as we go through these monthly planning processes. Hopefully that makes sense. And hi, Dawn. Welcome. I'm so glad you made it. I hear you. What like a 2025 it's been so far. It's like this has been one long day already. I'm so glad that you made it and that you're here. We have just done some reflection and now we're getting into goal review and milestones. So I was just explaining going into your goals, looking at the different goals that you've set for yourself this year, and then reviewing the milestones within those. One of the other ones, so I had the 1,000 subscribers on YouTube that I just gave an example of, but the other one that I set for myself is this 20 days of gratitude. So this was something that I wanted to complete by like mid-January, I think. I started it in December, but like I know, how are we at the end of January already? I cannot with time. It is like, what even is time? Um, which is exactly why, like, I just totally lost track of this goal that I had for myself. I wanted to do 20 days of gratitude. I was feeling really overwhelmed and just kind of like, I don't know, not myself. And so I wanted to kind of reset by doing a daily gratitude journal. So I did all of these different days, and every single day was one of my milestones, right? So once I completed day one, that milestone was complete. But I fell off very quickly. By day 5, I was struggling. And then I guess I skipped 2 days and then I went to day 8 and then I just never came back to it again. I am not going to be mad at myself for that. And so if you guys have like milestones or goals that you're like, that did not last very long, it's okay. That's why we're doing this process. I'm just going to keep reiterating that. So during this process, what I'm going to do is actually change all of these dates because this is still important to me. I do want to do this. I just felt like, okay, clearly I don't have capacity for this. Do I have capacity for it now? Or is this something that I want to do in the future? That's something that I need to answer right now as I'm going through this process. So I don't know. Do I have capacity for this right now? Sort of. I think so. I think part of the reason why it didn't happen was because I didn't plan for it and it wasn't in my daily habits. I've really been leaning on this. I'll show you guys. Actually, I can show you right here. In each of my like weeks that I plan, I have these daily habits and like if I'm not um if it's not here or if it's not in one of these like daily to-dos, it's probably not going to happen. And so I didn't do a very good job with this particular goal and adding those to the right places to make sure that I was doing that on a daily basis. So, do I have capacity for it? Yeah, I think I do. But maybe I'll start definitely not today. Um maybe I start fresh on February 1st. So we'll start on Wednesday. Nope, that's January. We'll start on, yeah, maybe we start fresh on Saturday. So I'm going to start with February 1st and then we'll go to February 2nd here. And so I'm just going to update all of these dates to the new date that I want to complete them by. So, as I am going through this process, I want all of you to also be going through your goals, looking at your milestones, and deciding whether you're on track. Do you still have capacity for that thing? What was I on? Nope, 7th. Do you still want to do that thing? Do you need to adjust some of your dates? Is this maybe something that you postpone for a little while? Because that's okay too. The cool thing about the Notion templates is like it all stays here. You know, like I totally fell off track from this milestone, but I knew in the back of my mind when I'm ready, I'll come back to it. I have this record of this goal that I want to do. I have the record of all the milestones. And when my body is ready to come back to this, it will. And during this monthly planning process, I get to have that conversation with myself of is it time or not yet? So, and don't be afraid to adjust things multiple times. I adjust things all the time. That's why I love building this to be flexible. Oh, this is so cute. It ends on Valentine's Day. I kind of like that. That feels lovely. All right. So that was how I update my milestones. If I had to add more in, like let's take my read 10 books. Right now, the milestones that I have for those, I only have 4 books on my list so far. I'm reading one right now, which is The Future. It's oh, I don't have it up here. It's by Naomi Alderman, I think is the author's name. Oh my gosh, it is crazy like how parallel it is with what is going on in the world right now. It's a really good book. It's fiction, which I'm not normally a fiction reader. You can see, like, I normally do like a Start With Why, I'll Teach You to Be Rich, that kind of book. But I'm trying to incorporate more fiction into my life this year. So it's all about balance. So anyway, an example of like maybe adding to your milestones would be like maybe there's another book that I know that I want to read. So I'm going to add that into my milestones here. I don't have to. Like, once I get through all of these books, maybe then I know what books I want to read next. But like I was saying, you don't have to have all of your milestones for the entire goal planned right this second. Just plan out what you know now. If you know that there are 4 books that you want to read, plan for those. If you know that there's a certain number of workouts that you want to try, plan for those. Or if you know that you want to start a meal plan and you know what the to-dos are for creating that meal plan and implementing that meal plan, like plan for that. But you don't necessarily have to plan for the entire goal. It'll unfold. And the more you're able to look at this stuff on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, you'll be able to add more to it, and you'll have more information available to you to plan for things further in the future. Hopefully that makes sense. Is everyone with me? How's it going over there? Is all of this making sense? Like, talk back to me. Sometimes I can be all over the place with the way I explain things, so hopefully all of this is making sense. Also, while I wait for you guys to talk back to me, I decided one of my goals this year is to learn 3 new dance routines. I don't know if you guys knew this about me. I used to be a dancer when I was young, like, middle school, intermediate school. I did hip hop. I was introduced to hip hop dance, and oh my gosh, I fell in love. I competed for a little while, and I love dancing, but I haven't like learned a routine and done solid, like, I don't know, choreography in so long. Anyway, okay, we are going to move on to the actual planning part of this. Well, we've been doing the planning this entire time. We've just been doing more review. Okay. Ellie says, I love how you use milestones to break down the bigger goals. It makes them feel so much more possible. Thanks, Ellie. It really does. And if this is something that you struggle with, please let me know if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me. I have a free one-on-one consultation. We can go through whatever you're struggling with, and then if you want more long-term support, we can talk about that. But this is something that is really, really, it comes natural to me to like break things down into these smaller pieces and asking the questions that are going to allow you to accomplish the things that you want in a sustainable way, in a doable way. Illy can hopefully attest to that. We meet every single week and we break down our goals together. So I would love to help anyone else who is struggling with this or who isn't sure how to create the milestones, because that really is a game changer when it comes to accomplishing the things that you want in life, making it doable and actionable for yourself, making it feel like it's not such a big task is really, really helpful. So, all right, we are done with the review. We are moving on to the planning. So I'm going to go into February. If you guys are on that Let's Make Magic Happen template, which actually, Dawn, you weren't here when I shared that. Let me see if I can get it back up. I'll put the link. if you're like, what is this template she keeps referencing? I think I did that right. Okay, there's the link if you want to grab that template or this template that I'm showing right here. So you'll want to go into season 1 and then let's go into February because that's where we're going to plan for. If you've added milestones to your template, they will be listed right here. If you have added any to-dos or projects to your homepage, there is a project planner or a to-do list on the homepage of this template, so you can add in all of your personal or professional to-dos, and you're able to see them as you're going through and planning out your weeks. So I'm going to go back to mine just because this has a lot more actual information in it, and I'm going to show you how I go through this process. So the first thing I'm going to go through is my ideas. I have 4 different databases here that I am reviewing and planning for as I go through my month. So the first thing I'm going to look at is my ideas. This database is something that I use as just like a holding area for anything that I'm not necessarily ready to take action on, but it's like, oh, that would be cool to do, or oh, this thought just popped into my head. Maybe I can do something with that one day. And this could be anything from personal to professional stuff. Yes, Dawn. The recording will have all of that. And we really took some time to do the reflection so you can, sit and journal things out. If you get the template that I just sent in the thing, it's down there, but the recap is just these questions right here. What did I enjoy the most this month? What did I learn this month? What could I have done better this month? And what do I wish existed or was possible to make this month run smoother? So we just reflected on those 4 things. And in this template, every single month has those questions at the bottom. So that's kind of how I start my process, is I reflect back on those, and then I look at my goals, and then we go into this process here. So that's our little catch up. And then Illy says, Tony is the best when it comes to helping you get clear on your goals and break them down into solid milestones. The amount of goals I've reached ever since we started our weekly calls is wild. Thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot to me. I love doing this. This is my passion. I love breaking things down. I love planning. I love organizing, and I love seeing people get to where they want to go in life, accomplishing the things that they felt like I've been working towards this for so long, and actually seeing it happen for them is just amazing. So back to these databases. I've got 4 here that I use for myself. In the template, there's 2, but you can always add more. Or if we work together and you're like, can you add more for me? Absolutely. So the first one I start with is my ideas, like I was saying. Yeah, I have a lot. Sorry, I'm going to jump over here to the comments real quick. Dawn, I have a lot of videos on Notion and just kind of before you start using it, what to know. I'm actually coming out on, not today, but next Monday, I'm doing a weird ways that I use Notion, or different ways that I use Notion, random ways that I use Notion video, where it's not just a planning and a goal setting place for me. I mean, you can see on the left hand side of my of my templates, I've got so much in here. I've got stuff for my kid, I've got my trips and travel, I've also got I was telling Illy earlier today, I've got a capsule wardrobe in there now. I've got meal planning. I've got my workout routines. I use Notion for everything. And so I'm going to go into a little bit more of those different ways that I use it other than just planning next Monday. But yeah, if you're interested at all in the tool, I have some really good videos on it. And there's so many other creators too who have really good explanations of Notion and different templates. So anyway, um, ideas. This is just a place for me to hold all of my ideas that maybe someday I want to come back to. Maybe I want to do a YouTube video about it. Maybe I want to create a new offer for my clients for this. Maybe I want to travel somewhere. Maybe I have a new workout routine that I want to do. Maybe I want to do something with my son and, take him somewhere. It's just a place for, instead of it to be in my brain, it's here. It's just exported into my ideas database. And then monthly, what I do is I go through all of my ideas and I decide, do I want to do something with this right now? Or am I going to just keep this in my ideas database? If it's something where I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to do anything with this, I'll delete it. But my husband is in the Navy, so we're a military family. Something that I still do not understand is the PCS process, which is basically when you're moving from one command to another command. There's a lot that goes into that process. Moving in general is a lot to manage, and I thought making a Notion template for that journey would be really cool. So that was an idea that I came up with. So this is something that, through this process, I'm just going to decide if I want to move this to a goal, if I want to make it a project. I'll decide that during this process. So if you have any ideas that you've been marinating on, take a moment and just decide, are these ideas something that you want to start implementing this year or this month? Or is it like, maybe next month? Or is it like, let's just get rid of this so that we can free up that brain space? So if you do have a list of ideas, go ahead and pull those up, bring them out. And if you use Notion, you can, categorize these things. I've got a status column here. I need to bring it over. So I can say like, oh yeah, I'm marinating on this, or if I've actually executed on it or done something with it, I can do that. Or if I'm working on it, I can change those different statuses. If you're doing this on like paper or a notebook, having a way to really know whether this is something that you want to do now or in the future, or maybe you really want to think about it, having a way to indicate that stuff is important, I think, for our brains to kind of compartmentalize whether we need to focus on it or not. Like that's really the biggest part of the planning process is like, do I need to focus on this right now or not? Because if not, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so that's the ideas. Then we're getting into the milestones. So I am going to I'm going to sort these by due date. So I know that I've got a due date coming up for the Yoga with Adrienne challenge. She's someone on YouTube, Yoga with Adrienne. She is like my favorite yoga teacher. She's just so funny and like grounded and down to earth. I really love doing her videos. But anyway, I've been doing a January challenge with her, so that will be done in a couple of days. Am I on track with that? Do I want to keep that as the due date? This is what I'm doing now with these milestones, right? Like ideally, we just went through the milestones and we updated everything, but this is just another glance at this to make sure that everything looks good. And then we're going to go into professional to-do items and then personal to-do items. So these are all of my projects or things that I have going on. So I'm going to look at every single one of these and I'm going to go through and look at the due date, make sure that those are up to date, look at the statuses, and make sure that, everything's on track. If I'm blocked, Like down here, getting a new military ID, I had to get this paper signed to be able to get a new military ID, but I can't just get it signed by my husband. Like it has to go through this entire process because he's deployed right now, and it has to get submitted through this certain like secure place. So I can't just go get the military ID. I have to wait for him to be able to do all of that. So I have that as blocked, right? But at least I know this is something that I need to follow up on, something I need to work towards. So that's really what I'm doing with all of this, is looking at the due dates, seeing if they need any adjustments. I use due dates in a weird way. um, and let me take a drink really fast. I don't exactly know how to explain it because it's a very, I don't know, squiggly brained process here with my due dates. I use due dates as actual due dates, and I use due dates as like when I want to work on something dates. So when I first add something to my calendar, like if it's a new project, a new to-do item, I'm going to put the date that it's due by. So if I have a project that is due next month, I'm going to put the due date as that day that it's actually due. And then when I go through my monthly planning and I dig deeper into that particular project, and I know, okay, I have to start working on this project this week, then I will probably update the due date to the day that I'm going to be working on it, and I'll continue to move that due date until the actual date that it's due. Within projects, I will actually put the due dates, like if there's, an actual hard deadline, if I'm doing it for a client or something else that has a hard deadline, then I will actually put the due date in there. Sometimes I've tracked 2 date fields, like on my YouTube planner, I have a film date. Well, I have a create date, which is like me writing the content. I have a film date, and then I have a publishing date. So I actually track 3 different dates rather than having that moving target. So you could do whatever works best for you here, but I'm going to update these, make sure they look okay. Same thing down here with my personal. You can see that my move to Washington has no due date. I don't like that at all. I need to make sure that I'm moving forward on that project or project. It's kind of funny. It is a project to move, though. Not gonna lie, it is a whole project, and I have a whole timeline. But I want to show you guys this though really quick, because how cute. I did these little mood boards last night, which is like fun, to have in here for my moving timeline. So I have to ship my car, I have to find a house, I have to book our plane tickets to moving out to Washington, and I have to schedule our home goods delivery. So like those are the things that I'm planning out here, but I need to have at least some sort of a due date here where I'm going to at least look at this stuff or start working on it. But my deadline for all of this is going to be April 23rd, because that's when we need to be there by. So you can see that has now actually fallen off my list. Why? Why, Tony? Why would you want that to fall off your list? Well, that's because when I do my monthly planning, and the way that I've set up these templates is to only look at things that are a month out. So back to that like sustainability thing, the brain does not need to see so much information. So we're only going to look at things that either don't have a due date at all, just so that they're on our radar and we can plan for them, or that is like current to 1 month out. So you're really, if you have goals or milestones that are super far in the future, you don't have to worry about them. But at least you can plan for things a month in advance if you need to. So that is why that fell off the list. Now, that may not be something that I want to do, because if there are things that I want to work on towards that item or towards that project, I don't want that to fall off my list, right? I want to still be able to see it. So it may be a situation where I use the due date not as the date that I need to finish it by, but as, the date that I want to work on it by, like the next day that I want to take action on it by. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, the point is I'm going through all of these, looking at the due dates, looking at the projects. Do I need to get rid of anything? Do I need to update anything? And then we're going to get into the actual breakdown of the weeks. Any questions on this? Did that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. There's a little bit of a lag, so I don't know if you guys are like responding right away. Also, I know you have to type. But hopefully it makes sense. I'm gonna move on. And then if I see the comments pop up, I'll respond. So now you're not done with these databases up here or with this information up here. And if you're working on paper and you just have like a long to-do list, maybe it's encompassing of all of your ideas, all of your milestones, your goals, your personal professional stuff. Maybe it's just like one long to-do list. That's totally fine. As long as you have a place where everything is available for you and you're able to have due dates associated with them or take action by dates associated with them, that is key. You want to have what the thing is and at least a due date, or a take action by date. Once you have all of that information, okay, glad this is making sense. We're going to start planning out our weeks. Now, I come back to this every single week. I don't go through this entire process every single week, but I do come back and plan out 1 week at a time. So we're just going to plan out this week. Based on the information in your ideas, in your milestones, in your professional to-dos, and in your personal to-dos, what are your top priorities this week? And if you have something that's not listed on your to-do list, that's a top priority, or listed in any of your databases, that's cool. Like, whatever your top priorities are, great. Just take a moment to list what your top 3 priorities are. And this is going to be for the first week of February. So if you want to plan your week this week, that's totally fine, because I know we're not quite in February yet. But this is going to be that first week of February that I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to look at my milestones first. And one of my top priorities is definitely going to be my 20 days of gratitude. I actually skipped a part of this process. We didn't do our top 3. So you have top priorities for the week, and then you have top priorities for the month. So your monthly ones are going to be like big things that you want to get done throughout the month, but you may have different things that you break down during the week. Like maybe your top 3 priorities for the entire month, you do one each week, or 1 or 2, each week throughout the month. But then this week's top priorities, maybe there's a slight difference. So hopefully that makes sense. But you can do your top 3 monthly priorities and then your top 3 weekly priorities for the first week of February. So I'll go back and do my top 3 for the month. I think for the month, I'm going to do my 20 days gratitude as well. For professional, oh no. My disk space is getting low, it says. Okay. Sorry. Tech difficulties. All right. Back to it. So my my professional top 3, I kind of do like one goal, one personal, one professional within my top 3s. That's just kind of how it ends up working out, but you can do whatever you want. I think my professional is my Sustainable Sundays emails. If you're not on the email list, I will drop the link to get on the email list, because I started sending out Sunday emails. And okay. Here we go. I do not like how this closes that window every single time I try to switch. Okay, there's the link to subscribe to my email list if you're not already. But I've been sending out these Sunday emails that have, tips and just ways to make your life more sustainable. There's like a lesson within it, an affirmation, an action item, and then you get early access to the YouTube videos that drop on Mondays. So that is a big priority for me this month. And then personal is going to be moving stuff, but I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. Probably finding a house in February. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Like locking in a house by the end of February. I think that's important. Okay. And then this week's top priorities, though, are going to be those 20 days of gratitude. And then I'm going to open that professional back up again. And then I'm going to look at these due dates, right? So I'm looking through the 31st. Nope. This is February, Tony. You're planning for February. I need to get out of this week's mindset right now. So the first week of February, what do I want to plan for? One of the things is the Notion communities. One of the things that I really want to do this year is get involved in Notion communities and like become an ambassador. Communities. Wow. Okay. And then personal. I think my top priority this week or for that first week of February is I need to find like another challenge that I want to do, or some sort of like movement routine, because I've had a routine with like yoga with Adrian, but I need to make sure that I'm still sticking to my exercise regimen. So I think that's going to be a top priority for me first week of February. All right. Then I'm coming back to open these up again. I like to plan out my week day by day as to-do lists down here. I've talked about this before, but the reason I do it this way is because number one, I love checking boxes. So if I can put something in a to-do list format and check that box off that I did it, I just love that so much. But more importantly than just, having this little dopamine hit is like if I have something, for example, my Sustainable Sundays project, this is ongoing for it's a 9-week series and we just started. So I'm not going to I'm not only going to like put this one time, like I'm going to want to put this on multiple days. I'm going to want to, how do I want to phrase this? I'm not just going to check this off one time. I'm going to check this thing off that I've done it 9 times. And I'm not just going to check off that the email has gone out 9 times. I'm also needing to check off that I wrote the email. So Mondays, I write the email. So I'm going to say, write Sustainable Sunday email. I'm also going to, on Mondays, I publish my podcast. So, or my YouTube episode. So publish YouTube episode. And I also write my YouTube episodes on Mondays. And I meet with Illy on Mondays. So that's like big Monday energy right there. Friday, I'm going to finalize my Sustainable Sunday email. And then over the weekend, Sustainable Sunday email published on Sunday. So I'll fill it in with things from up above as I go through like what's going to be happening that week. And then I also fill it in with things that aren't up above. Like my meeting with Illy isn't a project that I'm tracking or a milestone. It's just an ongoing meeting that we have. On the weekends, I know that my son has basketball, so I put that there every week. And then the last part of this process, and then I'm going to let you guys go because we have been on here for quite a while. The last part of this process that I do is I take all of this information and I add it to my calendar. I am able to check these things off throughout the week, but then it's also on my calendar to be able to, keep track of my day, make sure that I'm, showing up to the things that I need to show up to. I have mentioned this in some of my other videos, but I use Notion Calendar, which integrates with Google Calendar. So that way, anything that I put on my milestones database, my professional to-dos database, it actually populates my Notion calendar. So I don't have to really plan for those things. Like I don't have to transfer that information from down here to my Notion calendar. It just populates based on the due dates here. And if I move it, let me see if I can pull up my Notion calendar. Yeah, here we go. So right here, first monthly planning live. I have that as something to do today. Oh, well, that's my YouTube calendar. That's not a good example. This 18 things to do after YouTube upload. Okay, so this is something that I need to do after I finish this video. If I move that here, it's going to update the calendar. But if you see, it says 8:15 to 8:45, right? But obviously we're past that time. So let's say I move that to 9:30 to 10 o'clock. If I move that on my calendar, it's also going to update it 9:30 to 10 o'clock on my project database. That is such a game changer for me because as I update these due dates, or if you have multiple dates that you're tracking, you can have all of that automatically update on your calendar. And then through the week, you can check those things off. Because one of the things that I hate about a calendar is that you can't check, like, you can't check the checkbox on the calendar that you did the thing. It's like, okay, that time has passed. Like, the line past the little box that says basically that you did it. But I love the vibe of a checkbox. I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with me. But anyway, that's why I have it here and over there. Hopefully that's helpful. I know that this was a lot. Like this was our very first one together. So Hopefully this was not too chaotic and too much information. I'm trying to get back to my me screen. There we go. Hopefully this wasn't like too much information, too much all over the place. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. Hopefully you got to plan some things out for your week. I really wanted this to be kind of collaborative and showing by example. As you go through the process with me month by month, I think this will make a lot more sense. But if you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email me or feel free to book a free session with me. I will drop the link for that in the comments. Let's see here. My Calendly link. I think I need to go here. What? All right, let's look at Calendly. So it just allows you to book a free session. It's 45 minutes and we can talk about goal setting, goal planning. We can talk about Notion. We can talk about anything you're struggling with, burnout. Yeah, you just book a free session and then we'll see if I can help you get the results that you're looking to achieve. There's no strings attached, so you literally have nothing to lose by booking the session. And then I already gave the template. What else was I going to say? Oh, good. I'm glad. Yay! So helpful and fun. I'm excited to plan with you every month. I can't wait to plan with you guys every month too. Hopefully it'll get like a little bit faster so I'm not explaining everything from scratch as we continue to go through these processes. Hopefully you'll kind of find your flow too. Like if you do want to use a paper planner, I have another client who uses a paper planner. She just loves paper. She loves the vibe of a paper planner, and she goes through the same process that I go through, but she does it in her planner. She takes pieces of my process and applies them. That way she's able to continue to stay on track and execute. She does it in her own way, which I think is amazing. I want everyone to be comfortable with the process that they're using. I never want to like push Notion so hard that it's like, I don't want to do any of this, because Notion is really not the point. The sustainability, the forward momentum and progress is the point, because I want everyone to feel fulfilled and accomplished and just like you're living a life that you love. So, Dawn says, one of the things you're bringing into my awareness is all the little steps involved with a seemingly simple to do. Sometimes one to do is really six smaller to dos. Yes, that is so true. And when you can actually take the time to break down those smaller tasks, it may feel a little bit more overwhelming at first. But the great thing about it is that in the long run, it's a more sustainable plan, because instead of thinking, oh, this task is just going to take me 20 minutes, and then it's like an hour and a half later and you're like, oh my gosh, this was so much more work than I thought it was. Now I'm running late to this thing. Now, how am I going to fit all this other stuff in? You actually knew from the beginning what the fullness of it was going to be, and you could plan ahead for that. You could plan accordingly for the actual what is the word I'm looking for? Depth or process that it's going to take to get there. So I'm glad that that's coming to your awareness, and hopefully that's helpful for you, Dawn. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you were able to make it. Thank you, Illy, for being here. Anyone else who was here who was just, kind of in the background. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this process, and I'll see you guys very soon. I'll still be here every single Monday, not live. The lives are going to be the last Monday of the month. So it'll vary based on the month, but it will land on the very last Monday of the month. We'll do this process. So thank you again for being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. This will be posted, so you can come back to it if you need to review anything at all. So, all right, that is all. Have an amazing rest of your week, and until next time, take care.